I'm 30 years old and I have 3 jobs, basically like 3.5 jobs. So let me break each of them down and then also how they all contribute to like my overall income. This is a question that I get all the time, and I realize I've never really sat down and kind of like explained everything to you guys. My first and most important job, I would say, is my 9 to 5 job. I work full-time in tech sales in the media advertising side of the tech world. I love my job so much. I feel like there's so much content in here around just like hating corporate life or just people talking about quitting their full-time job to pursue content creation or owning their own business. I love my corporate job. I wouldn't trade it for the world, and I am so grateful to have the job that I have. This is definitely how I make the majority of my income, and I would not be able to do all of the other things that I do without my 9 to 5 job. It's really allowed me to kind of like fund and support all of my other passion projects and hobbies. Beyond that, just take the pressure off of them. I think that's my biggest piece of advice is if you want to start something on your own, do it in a way where it really allows you to be creative and enjoy the process, not to kind of like put as much pressure on yourself to make it fully support you financially, because that can really kind of inhibit your creative process and just enjoyment of the thing. Next is my small business. I own 2 brick and mortar businesses in San Diego, which is also crazy to say. We've been in business for a little over 2 years now, and it's called Bode. If you live in San Diego, it's a work and social club, and essentially we have 2 co-working spaces in La Jolla. It's membership based, and it's honestly been like the most fun, chaotic, challenging passion project to build. And I just very recently started making a tiny little bit of money from it. I self-funded my business. That was such an insane thing to do, because when you have like a physical space and like are investing in like an actual building, like building out things and having to worry about stuff like plumbing and insurance and flooring and just like working with contractors, it was like such a crazy massive learning process. And yeah, super expensive. I really funded Bode with the money that I had made from my first little business venture, which was called the SD Network. It was an events-based business in San Diego, really all about connecting young women in San Diego. I started to make a tiny little bit of money, and to me that was enough to kind of get the little like fire under my ass to be like, okay, let's take this concept, evolve it, expand it, and then now we have Bode. And yeah, so I took the money from that, I invested it into building out Bode, and then I also invested a lot of my own personal savings into opening my business, which people have mixed feelings about. For me, at the time, I was okay with it because I was like, you know what? Some people at the ripe age of 27, was I 27 when I started it? 27 or 28, were like planning weddings. I wasn't planning a wedding. I had already bought a house. I was like, you know what? I want to invest in this. I don't want to go back to school and pay for a business degree. This is going to be my real-time business degree. And so far, it's paid off in more ways than just like financial, but it's really made such a profound impact on my life. No regrets whatsoever, but that also doesn't mean that it doesn't come with so many challenges. And I did not always make the best financial decisions throughout this whole process. Learned a lot throughout all of it, and I'm really glad that I did. I can do like a whole other video on that alone. I feel like there's so much gray area when it comes to talking about finances on TikTok, and I also am in no position to give anyone advice on anything, but I can tell you guys how I did what I did and why I made the decisions I did. But ultimately, you gotta just do your own research and look at your own expenses and finances and your own situation and figure out what you're able to safely and strategically invest. I would definitely not recommend putting yourself in a bad spot. I've done that. It's not fun, and it's really hard to get out of. My third job is I am a content creator. I do this really like part-time. It started as just a hobby, then it's really turned into something that I'm super passionate about and love doing. I absolutely love creating content so much. So I do this. I have a manager. I do different types of paid brand campaigns and deals, obviously like organic content and just different types of collaborations. And I have so much fun with it. And I am so grateful just to get to like do this thing and like have opportunities through just posting content. Remember that I said I have like 3.5 jobs? I would say my half job is I am a landlord. As I mentioned, I bought a house in Florida about 3-4 years ago now, and since then I did a little bit of renovating when I bought it, and then ever since then I've had long-term tenants in the house. So landlord, I make some passive income, rental income on the property, but it's like nothing massive. It's just essentially, you know, paying my mortgage every month with a little bit of cushion that I just put into savings. Okay, so now let's talk about the money side of all 3.5 of those things. The hair is hairing right now. I'm about to film an ad for a campaign I'm doing with Nexus to talk about their Cura Fix. I think that's how I say it. I need to go and look at the brief again. But this is about to completely transform my hair, so just stay tuned. Okay, I'm back. I just finished filming, and now let me tell you kind of how my full income breaks down across all of those different things. 95% of my overall income comes from my 9 to 5 job. I have a base salary, and then I also make commission based on if I hit my quarterly number or not, and that is definitely my most lucrative thing that I do transparently with my lifestyle and all of my investments and just all of my responsibilities. I could not live the way that I live now without having my 9 to 5 job. It's definitely like what I rely on for most things. The next biggest income driver for me is content. I think this past year I made right around like $40,000 from content creation, which is pretty crazy. Like, that's actually insane, especially considering my first job in advertising when I lived in New York City. Annual salary was like $42,000. So I will take that as a win. Least is my business. This is mostly because I pay employees, and also I've been like paying myself back for the investment that I made in doing the build out and the renovation, essentially like paying down my debt. And we're still in the green, which is really great. Like, we're making money, but definitely not necessarily bankrolling just yet, and still paying off so much that I invested. I opened up 2 brick and mortar spaces in like a year and a half, and that was just insane. So definitely starting to like crawl my way out of feeling pretty behind. Rental income is like very, very, very minimal. I feel like every month I might pocket around $500, but that all just goes straight into a savings account where I pay my mortgage out of, and anytime that I need to do anything for the house, any updates for like insurance, just general house stuff, it all comes out of that like bucket of money. So to me, it doesn't even count. It's like I don't touch it. It's just all sitting there for house related stuff. I did start working with like a financial consultant and planner, and basically just like a manager that helps me with all of these things. I see, because I got to a point where my business content and my 9 to 5 was just like all lumped into like the same account. And I was just like, I don't know even how much I'm making from what, or where the money is going, or where the money is coming from. So it's been really helpful to have them. And also for tax season, that has been huge. So one of the things that if I could go back and do it all over again when it came to starting my business is I would have hired them first. I've been working with them for like over a year now, and it's made such a big difference, and also just like taken a little bit of a stressor off, because transparently, I'm not the best when it comes to money. I am more of like an out of sight, out of mind kind of person. It also just like stresses me out. I don't like to like be too in the weeds with it. So I feel like I wish I would have confronted that head on and just like brought in a third party to help me manage that, versus me trying to do it by myself, or also just like avoiding it, and then it like ended up being even worse. Now we have everything handled, but yeah, anyways, rant over. Those are my 3 jobs, how they all contribute to my overall income and allow me to live the lifestyle that we live in San Diego, and do all of these things. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions, or if you want me to like elaborate further or talk in more detail about any one of those jobs. I really am trying to understand more of like what you guys are interested in and want to see, to help me figure out what kind of content I should continue to create. So let me know, would I really appreciate it. But yeah, hope that this was interesting, helpful, all the things. I try to be as transparent as possible. Yeah, love you guys. Bye.